What's good, man? It's been a minute. I'm coming in just to drop this video real quick, man, on Nazca lines. Um, got some new information. Get this screen shared. The first thing that I want to show.
That some people.
This is a quick video from 108 Jane Academy on Instagram. I think it's Jane 108 Academy on here is what is correct chronological order. But anyway, as you can see, this is the Nazca mandala here. I never knew that he had went over this in the past, but upon watching this video, he dropped some information, some healthy information. And I'm gonna let this be seen. I want to make an emphasis point so that people can see what I'm saying up close. So yeah.
Past thousands of years ago from vertical craft actually carved this geometry from a high vantage point. This is celestial mathematics carved from an unknown source. And when we analyze all the lines, we see that the schematic of this diagram is exactly the same as the true value of pi. So this Jane pi cross here, you can see that it's based on the double square root 5 geometry called the fairy one method, which is my main geometric discovery, is identical to the Nazca lines in Peru. This was actually given to us as a diagram by Eric von Daniken in 1998 when he wrote his classic book, The Arrival of the Gods. So it's quite amazing that this ancient knowledge is carved in stone. So here it is again, high up in the mountains of the Andes. And this similar schematic, the double square, is kind of suggested in the temple of Borobudur. In the design of the floor plan is based on sort of concentric squares. They're not actually, it is like double.
Important point. This is something, this is actually the very exact pyramid / temple that I just released a video on. That was my most recent video. That's one of the most ironic things about this, is that this got shown out of all things. Now, what's important is that they bring up the name mandala. Well, mandala also, which is what I've been saying. If you didn't know as well, I've had to redo the censor. So the whole censor is being started over, and the reasoning behind that is because, like I said, my detail work, I found out how to, precisely do everything. And since I figured that out, I just, instead of just, like I said, I don't do half jobs, man. And at the end of the day, I'm making some $1 million work, and worth it. Now, from that point, like I was saying about the mandala and Mandelbrot sound very much the same, as far as their first two syllables that make up the words. That clearly looks like a mandala. If you know what a mandala is, it looks like a square mandala. It can be square or circle. And it also looks exactly like one of what, all of this. You could take one of them and it looks like that, but it's on precise geometry, of course. But if you look at the amount of size that it has to it, it actually has a Chicana type of effect to it, a stair step, but it's really a long type of horizontal, stretched out type of stair step. But you can see those stair steps on each side, just like you see right there on my work. And in my previous video, what I just talked about was the fact that they said and brought up the numbers, which I'm about to speak on here too. They brought up the same exact numbers. 504 statues is how many they have there, like you see here. All of these statues right here, the count of them is 504 Buddhist statues. Exactly. To the T. 72 was brought up within that as well. I've also, released plenty of videos in the past talking about the aspect of 7 and 2. They 3 circles at the top, and 6 is within this aspect as well as far as the number of levels. So three, every last aspect of number, when it comes to what I've been saying as far as the polarity opposites within the numbers and stuff, you can see this stuff evident within um, ancient cosmology or work of architecture, whatever you want to call it. 7 and 2, 2-ball cane, in a way. Why do I say that? Because you got a cane, which is the 7, and 2 balls. I'm just saying that just like the number 2, 007, hence that. So 7 and 1, kind of look alike. Anyway, I'll let this play.
Double square geometry. It's, when you look at the stupa, it goes 35 meters high, and inside of that, you can see that there was 72 stupas. In this diagram here, you can see around the large central stupa, there were 72 smaller stupas, and inside of each stupa, of the 72 stupas, we have another Buddha. I understand that there was some Muslim invasion that came, and some culture came along and beheaded all the Buddhas. And you can see that they've re-glued all the heads of the Buddhas again. So they have kind of been restored. So this is quite important that the stupa represents what we call the formless world. And we're interested in these celestial geometries because the ancient people were recording the knowledge of the gods, whether it's about pi or phi, and they put it into the memory of stone and structures and temples and high up on the mountains like in Peru. So it's quite an amazing discovery when I realized that the very geometry of these ancient Nazca lines were literally the geometry of how I created 3.144, the true value of pi.
Excellent work. I'll give that to him. My only constructive criticism throughout it that I caught
in the mountains of Peru called the Nazca line. So you can see here that some people from the past, thousands of years ago, from Vimana craft,
what I was going to point out is that, as you can see right here, and it's going to get into the numbers, you don't see any type of dots within his. His does not explain the dots, and the dots are clearly emphasized throughout lines and everything as far as how the Nazcan people, Incan people, or Pampa people, whoever created the lines, the lines are clearly an emphasis that are coming and radiating from the center, coming to the halfway inch or quarter edge is what I'll say, or quartermost point. Adjacent to the center. And yeah, I just wanted to say that real quick. Now, the next video that I wanted to play real quick before I go into an article that I'm gonna read and conclude the video is this video, which is close on the ground. I just want things to be seen close up so that people can't, so that you can see that a lot of people might feel like it might be photographic imagery or something like that. As far as the Nazca lines, the one specifically that I'm showing, the enigma of the matrix lines, the estrellas, whichever, they got different names for it. Some people, because there are a lot of drawings.
They're expecting stars.
See, like that right there, that's computer generated imagery right there. That right there that you just saw is clearly computer generated. That's, it's a real picture. It's a real picture, but it looks more like if like a Google Earth type of image. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. That looks like, like when you zoom in on Google Earth and all of the houses is still looking like a sheet of paper. That's pretty much what they look like to me. But the purpose of this video being shown right here is so that people who are skeptical and ask questions and stuff like that, you can see that it's, actually something that's real. You can walk on it. It's close. It's right there on the ground. And this is just clearer footage than anywhere that I've seen as far as these specific lines right here.
Expecting stars, or the gods, or whoever, looking down, could see their drawing.
The strange pattern is located close to one of the most famous and mysterious archaeological sites in the world.
This is really close to the Nazca lines, massive carvings in the ground that are legendary, famous. You have to wonder if there's some sort of connection.
Y aquí, llegando hacia la parte central,
See?
podemos ver ya los restos.
So that's how big, that can give you an estimate of how exactly big they are. Now, mind you, what I'm drawing out, that's why I'm saying to everyone that what I'm drawing out, literally what he's standing, the center square itself is about about 4 of the very thing that I'm drawing out. And that's just a fact. That's no exaggeration or anything. Well, I ain't going to say. I'll say maybe 2.5, because this thing is pretty big once I map it out. It's, it takes up half of a pretty nice sized living room. Just this one that I'm doing. And like I said, the one that y'all see me working on now, this for 2020 through 2021 that I'm finishing, this is just one. I know that sounds crazy, but this is just one. I'm gonna be working on this off and on, taking me a break period for certain months to get other work done, and starting back at the same time every year up until 2024. So it's a 4-year process that I'm going to be going through, hence the terminology of quarters and stuff like that. So it's a 4-year process, a 4-section thing that I'm going to be doing. Because at the end of the day, once people really look at this and once it really, my purpose behind that is because if I make 4 of the very zero, because see what I was saying at first was, because clearly right here what you have is the very center point of it all. What you see right there as well is my detail of my eye. The pupil is right there in the center of a reflection from my phone. I took a picture of myself, with my face and everything through my phone. And it was so clear of a picture, I could see the reflection of the phone. It was like when you hold a mirror up to a mirror and it keeps on going infinite. And that's the same thing. If you think about that, that's very dope, because at the end of the day, if you zoom into that eye, it's just like the eye it's the same exact eye that you're looking at right there. Just like the whole point of what I'm saying. That means that technically what I'm saying is that right here in the center, the same exact thing, the zoom aspect continues based off of that very mirror effect with the eye, just like what I said right here with this, with every 4-corner point, as far as the center, as far as 9090. It's the same exact thing. The center points, this is going to be 90 and 90, just like that right there. So it'll infinitely zoom in on the corners. And the same thing goes on in the center just because of that, me putting that I right there. And I is the 9th letter, the letter I. Think about the ripple effect. And when you create a ripple effect, that stuff is very, I'm can't explain enough how amazed I am. I can't say it enough. Literally what you're looking at right here with this man standing right here in the center of this thing is literally me and what I've drawn. So approximately where he's standing there right now is literally somewhere within this square. And that's just a fact. So that should just let you know just about how big this really is. Pretty darn big.
De algunas estacas e incluso todavía testimonios de los palos que utilizaron para poder señalizar el punto central.
If these wooden stakes were used thousands of years ago to create the hue symbol, it's unlikely they would still be here today.
Lo que nos indica claramente que es una creación moderna.
I would not be surprised if it's not that old.
All attempts to identify the creators have so far proved unsuccessful. but its proximity to the famous Nazca lines offers a tantalizing clue to their motivations.
Nazca has been a place where fantasies have been projected. My own presumption would be that somebody put a mandala there because they wanted to sort of increase this air of mystery connected with the Nazca lines.
Now, what's my take on that? I think it's phenomenal thinking. To be quite frank and honest, I think it's phenomenal thinking. I thought and question the same exact things. I think about all of that stuff. But then I go again to think, for the people that have seen the lines, it could have been anybody who placed those sticks there at any point in time. As well, when it comes to faking something like that, you got to think about time and how much time it takes to create something like that. The purpose behind faking something that nobody is going to go out and see. Nobody lives in the desert. It's not like the Nazca lines are not like Egypt. It's not something you got to get in a plane in order to see it. Number one, it's not even in an area where people really too much flight goes over. It's not a heavily populated area. Nazca has a population, I think, of around 25,000 people, actually, somewhere around that. And that's not a lot of people as is. So, it's not like it's some super huge money making site or something like that. It's so, and that's the main thing that people, when they say hoaxes and stuff, that they're trying to or faking something, that it's got something to do with money, not money motivated 9 times out of 10. People can be skeptical of whatever it is that they please, but I know on my end, with clear deductive reasoning, what date they actually were created, I couldn't put on it. I wouldn't even try. But as far as their them not being modern, I can sit up and honestly 100% say, based off of even the knowledge that I've, because they're talking about Hinduism, and then when they're talking about the mandala, why the mandala is something that was created first in India. So India, number one, is something that's way across the water. That's where my work comes in, and it's so important because what I can tell them is what they're looking at is not necessarily a mandala. They are looking at the Chicana, which is what I've been showing, the Chicana. And the fact is, being that they're looking at the Chicana, and think about the fact that they call Black people Indians. I've been talking about the Inca ancestors. They were talking about many people. The Incas were Black, Black African, whatever you want to call it. I don't whatever, man. Brown colored people. And at the end of the day, having a moment. Yeah, that's what I was saying. The Indian, they throw the term Indian, and a lot of Black people use the term Indian ancestor and everything as far as us. Well, Inca, Indian, IN, that prefix of the name and everything, indigenous, stuff like that. At the end of the day, this all comes back to the aspect of the zero. I'm about to get into the number stuff right now, but this all comes back to the aspect of the zero. Square and the circle, all of that stuff that, has been talked about in the past. And when you talk about that, bingo, they're talking about that this could be an Indian mandala, is what they say. Well, who discovered the zero? The Indians, is what they say. It's in between two people that you hear about the most that discovered the zero. That's the Mayans and the Indians. Well, who I'm focusing on right now ain't too far away from the Mayan. That's in the Mayan territory, South America / Central America. Indians, their discovery of the zero or the man, that's something I'm not very studious on. I'm over here. But there's as far as the linkage behind the geometry of a mandala and the Chicana, they're very much similar, as far as their structure and everything. What I'm finna pull up right now is an article, real quick. Um, Now, this right here says nestled in the. Well, I'm gonna go down. Let me see. Now, there's also one more square. This is the point I'm trying to get straight to where the information is at. It says there is also one more square, actually where actually there are several clearly seen, turned 45 degree. Important. First person that I've seen bring this up. Part of why I made this video. On one of its sides falls on the line from the right side group of circles at angle 45 degrees. I know I skipped something, but anyway. They are alluding to the largest of the rhombi, which they call the hidden green square. Furthermore, they notice that there are a total of 81 holes, dots on the crisscross squares, from whence additional spiritual conjectures can be ascertained. I will discuss both these points later. The 45-degree tilt of the rhombi and the fact of the 80 plus 1 dots, 81 dots. The Hindu interpretation of these dots goes something like this. The 81 dots represent cells in the Graha Yantra, in which the numerals 1 to 9 are distributed in such a way so that the additions vertical, horizontal, and diagonal of these numbers will remain as 81. Now, right here, you see the aspect of the number 72, 144. These different numbers get brought up. This is copyright from TL Subhash Chandra Bose, 2003. So shout out to them. I own absolutely no rights to any of this information. I'm just showing a correlation with that of my own work. And 81, as you can see right there again, 81 dots. What's the significance and the point behind this? Like I just showed y'all the on-ground view of the Nazca lines. That was for a reason. Because 81, now what I learned about the number 45 is that apparently it means the second coming of the Messiah. Apparently. Now they did the super math and went crazy with it. Volume / capacity / cubic measurement of one of the 144 squares. They did that. It came out to get that number right there, 18,399 and 744 thousandths. So at the end of the day, when that's the case, they added all of those numbers up and ironically got the number 45. So not by chance. And then in cubic inches, they translated the feet to cubic inches, and they still got the number 45. The conclusion that they got from this, what was it? It was that one of the 144 squares whose edge is 26.4 tenths of a foot, 26 feet and 0.4 tenths of a foot, and 4 tenths of a foot is correct. 12, 18, 27, 36, 45 dominates each and every one of the 144 squares. The dominance of 12 and the 18 of New Jerusalem, as well as Messiah revealed, 27, and his coming again, 45, with the eternal God, 36, all overall indeed. That's so important. What you see right there, those numbers 12, 18, 27, 36, and 45, do they look familiar, man? What colors do I have these? The colors I have is 0 and 9. 0 and 9, for this one, for example, the blue is color 0 and 9. The green is 1 and 8. You see 18 right there. 27, the yellow, 2 and 7 is right there. 36, 3 and 6, 3 plus 6 equals 9. 36. 45, of course, obvious. So 12, what's the whole aspect and why did they not put 9? Well, to cut the video here and let it be known, at the end of the day, like I've been saying about time at the end of the day, we go by 12, what we call a 12-hour clock. When you properly look at that clock, the whole aspect of what you see right here with this square is the same exact thing that you see with a clock, with a circular clock. 12 o'clock in this case, if you look at this, what would 12 o'clock be? Let me grab an old one since it actually got the numbers on it. So for this one, for instance, this old one, what would 12 o'clock be? The numbers are going, what would be clockwise? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay. So at the end of the day, 12 o'clock, the substitution will be right here at this point, which is the center point, 0 point / the 9 point, also the 4.5 point. What my work does is show that 4.5 is an alternative center. You know, it's just like you got, or it's at least another aspect of the center. Is a better way I'll put it. But 9 would be right here because 0 and 9 come together. Now, when you look at the clock, usually right here in the clock has 4 different sections. You have 12, which would be up here. Then you will have, instead of 2, you'll have 3. Instead of the 4 and 5 working together down here, you'll have 6 right here. And then you'll have 9 over here and come back up here to 3. It goes 3, 6, 9, 3. 3, 3, 6, 9, 3, 3, 6, 9, 3, 3, 6, 9, 3, 3, 6, 9, 3, 3. Because at the end of the day, 12, 1 plus 2 equals 3. Now, the proper way, if you look at the clock, a clock starts off, of course, you see a 1 on there. But if you count, of course, with what I'm showing, and insert the 0 and aspect of the 0, it'll bring the clock down to 22 hours in a day, 11 hours for day, 11 hours for night, 22 hours, you know what I mean, for the day. And technically, if you think about that, that makes a lot of sense, and why witch's hour is what it is, because technically, with the 3 o'clock aspect, I ain't gonna go into that, man. You can figure that out yourself. When you do the math and everything, it'll come to you. But yeah, man, that's pretty much, exactly what it is as far as that 12 right there, that aspect, the 12 and the clock, and what I'm saying, and I'm really surprised about that his coming again. 45 becoming again, because we living in a time that's something that's revelation talk. We living in a time where people is comparing these times so much to Revelation more than any other time. I mean, as far as all of the stuff they say in the Bible, Trump, Antichrist, technology, seeking death but not being able to find. I mean, it never ends, man. So I literally can see where that has lined up. Now, as far as everything else, like I said, because this video does say updates too, I'm gonna quickly, briefly say, man, you know what? I ain't gonna say nothing, man. I'm chill, bro. It is what it is. I got work to do, man. I'm gonna go ahead and get on back to it. And yeah, that's the pretty much the update as far as this right here. These numbers 45 and some new information that I came across as far as this isn't it. Now, as far as that number 81, what I was going to show, I got one last thing I was going to show. This right here is what I was going to show. Now, the center point that you can see right there is going out into the 8. And that's what I was getting, the 8 and the 1. The center line right there, you see it going to a blue 9 right there as far as right across horizontal. But as far as the 4 and the 5, when it's going into those bounds, those lines right there are specifically going to the green. They land right on top of the green, 8 and 1, just like the numbers, the dots. And those translate to be dots. You can see everything lines up 100% on point. And this one ain't even computer accurate, but this one I'm working on now is computer accurate, and I'm doing the eye in color this time, and I'm making it photorealistic. I didn't even get to make that one for photorealistic because I pretty much had gave out on that one because I moved on to other sections of the pyramid. But pretty much I'm gonna go ahead and make that one color and photorealistic this time. And I got the compasses that I'm adding within that. If you didn't notice that, I'm adding the compasses within there. That's one of the final touches. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and let this one be done, man. And yeah, peace out.